Hello everybody and welcome back to the 2019 season Australian Grand Prix WTF1 podcast. I am Matthew Gallagher and joining me is one resident member of the WTF1 podcast and one rather new but also very important man from the That Time When series. We've got Dan Thorne with me. Hello Dan.
Hello Matt.
I feel like this is a radio show. And Jess.
Hello.
Yeah, we're not on video, which is slightly strange, but we've got kind of varying amounts of series coming out on audio. We've got That Time When. We've got this as well. This is a very exciting time for podcast listeners, isn't it?
Yes.
Thanks so much for the insight, Dan.
Welcome.
Right, so let's talk about the Australian Grand Prix. I am so excited. How excited are we, guys, that Formula One is back?
Exhausted, though, because it's an early start.
Yeah.
But, yes, thank God F1's back, because we missed it hardcore, so...
And we also missed the 3-word race reviews, which we've got a few here from fans about the race. We've got, oh God, I always pick the worst names. That one half ran 15. Bottas bearded badass. You've got Clakutan_MC, not very exciting. But then you have other people going D4 Boz 18T saying good season start. And I think a good one to have as well in here is Y_not_Brian that says thank you, Charlie, as a nice little 3-word race review as well. We've kind of spoken about it a lot, but obviously it's very sad that we lost Charlie so unexpectedly.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think that's the thing that shocked most people. It's not like he was away or retired or he was in Australia. Like I had people telling me, I saw him in the safety, like doing the safety car laps yesterday and doing track inspection, and Vettel was saying, yesterday I was walking around parts of the track with him, and now he's not here. I think it's just been a massive, massive blow to the F1 community, and just testament to his legacy, really. Just what an absolute character without even really appearing on any broadcast or, he wasn't in front of camera very often, but I think everybody knows about Charlie. Like every fan kind of knows, get on the radio to Charlie, like Charlie, send out a safety car. Like he's just synonymous with the racing. And for me personally, it was actually quite emotional knowing that it wasn't him putting the lights out on Sunday. It was kind of like that bit for me, like I'd been very upset about the whole thing anyway, but then having him not be the one to hit lights out was like, oh God, he's really not here.
Yeah.
It was quite jarring, I think, but...
I think he meant a lot, as you say, to everyone.
Yeah.
And he was almost like that higher power that be. You never really saw him, as you say, but he was always Charlie Whiting. He was in charge, and everyone felt comfortable. And he'll be sorely missed, won't he, from the paddock, as a lot of people have done some really nice tributes. I thought the Sky Sports one was really nice as well.
Interesting to see Bernie Ecclestone on the Sky Sports F1
and very
tribute.
upset as well.
Yeah, I didn't know he had it in him to be emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit weird. Did you hear his bit where he was like, I've lost drivers and that's obviously upsetting, but I'm actually more upset about losing Charlie.
The normal ones, isn't he?
Yeah, he was like, the people that aren't risking their lives, but actually Charlie gave his entire life to Formula One, and with all the travelling and, it takes it out on you, maybe not in the same way that a driver getting in a Formula One car, but it does make it go, oh God, yeah, anything could happen. I
know. It is a massive sort of life kind of, I don't know, what
affirming
realisation.
Moment,
yeah. Dan, what did Charlie mean to you?
Well, I don't really know, to be honest.
Okay.
This is like you've said everything I can say, Jess, on that, really. He's one of those people that, judging by the tributes and what everyone says about him, people got annoyed at him in races, but that's because they're racing drivers and team owners and whatever.
Yeah.
But he's one of those people you genuinely feel like no one had a bad word to say about him.
Yeah.
He was there for everybody. He was doing his job. He did it brilliantly. And it's a big pair of shoes to fill.
Massively.
Huge.
Massively.
Absolutely huge. So obviously he'll be massively missed. But I think he would want us to talk about racing. So let's move on to the Australian Grand Prix. And before we dive into the 3-word race reviews from ourselves, we had a very important question come in from McGee_Mister. How was your 5 a.m. wake up? Dan, how did you survive 5 a.m.?
Well, I'm quite used to early starts, to be honest, because my previous job involved a lot of early starts. So, getting up isn't...
You've trained yourself.
Yeah, getting up at R4 isn't too bad. But the only thing that annoys me about the early starts is that you get up early and then you're watching the race straight away. There's no sort of time to get hyped up beforehand.
Just soak it in.
Because you're just asleep, and then you get up and then the race is on. So it's a weird build-up for me, but... Yeah, the earliness doesn't really bother me.
I understand that, but I like my sleep a lot more. So I'm kind of like, fine, I understand that when that alarm goes off, I have to go and turn the television off or I'm going to miss 5 lights. What about you, Jess? Were you, you're not too bad at getting up early, are you?
No. But I think, it's one of the only things where I am like, I'm up. Like when usually in the morning, I'm a
Groggy.
snoozer.
Yeah.
Like I'll put the 10-minute snooze on. I'll be like, it's fine. I'll find that 10 minutes elsewhere. But when it's F1, it's like, no, I'm
Hello.
up. I'm awake. I was like trying to desperately find my laptop or whatever I was watching on, and it was it's F1 time. Everything else, sleep could wait.
I do find, it's weird how your body's just like, I'm ready for the day.
Yeah, I
At
think
no other point do I ever hit 5 a.m. I'm like, I'm
and
ready.
then you end up having a really productive day. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I had such a productive Sunday because I was up at 5 a.m.
it's weird. On the Sunday, it gets to it's getting to the end of the day. You've been working, doing stuff for the race, and I think, it's the end of the day. I can stop now. And you look at the clock and it's 2:30, and you think, I've got the rest of the day to go
Yeah,
yet.
got a whole half a day left.
I don't know how all these people do it with their gym routines at 4:30 in the morning, and then they have a whole day. I'm like, nah, I cannot survive that.
But what they don't tell you is that they're all asleep by 9
Yeah,
p.m.
exactly.
So-
They're in bed a lot earlier. Anyway,
Exactly.
Formula One.
Yeah.
Okay. Jess, 3-word race review. Your one starts off very well.
Okay, yeah. So my 3-word race review. Oh God, I can't.
We have not done this in a
Oh
while, have
my
we?
God.
3-word race review.
I should have done like warm up. Dan did it just before we came on air as well, and
Were you
I
like
was
doing
just
some
like,
like brrr type
I
stuff,
know.
or what were you doing?
No, I said 3-word waste.
Oh,
review.
right. I thought you were doing like vocal warm ups. I was like, that's impressive.
No.
I was saying we should have done. No, so turn one wins.
Turn one wins.
Turn one wins.
That's
yeah.
also quite difficult.
Try and say it all together. No wonder I was stuttering.
And why was that?
Because well, in this race, and I think in a lot of Australian Grand Prix, if whoever survives turn one in the lead, unless there's a safety car incident, usually wins the race. And the person who comes out on top out of turn one very often isn't the pole sitter. So I think from that, it was case in point. Bottas got the far better start off the line, made it into turn one, and after that it was easy breezy beautiful all the way to the end. And it's a track that it's so, and this was a race that proved this, it's next to impossible to overtake, even with 3 DRS zones. The only overtakes that really happened were through a mistake from the person that was looking to be overtaken. Because I guess, the examples are, Giovinazzi, which there's been massive debate over how to say his name correctly. I saw you got a lot on IBR.
Yeah.
I heard it is actually
It's Giovinazzi. Yeah, I had to eat my words.
I'm ignoring it. I talk how I want to talk, and I'm going to keep saying Giovinazzi.
Giovinazzi.
I will talk.
I'm too stubborn to change my ways.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, because I was convinced it was Giovinazzi as well, and then everyone, the Italian side of the WTF1 fan base have said no, it's actually Giovinazzi, and I'm like,
Crofty got it
okay.
right.
Yeah, for a change.
I know.
No offense, Crofty, love you, but yeah, it's crazy. So, but yeah, turn one wins. We actually got a few questions about the track because you mentioned about the overtakes and not really being able to do man. And it's weird because when you look at the track, you don't think of it as that difficult to overtake. Like you wouldn't expect it with the amount of DRS zones and the straights that it would be as difficult. We saw Lando take 8-9 laps to get past a very struggling Giovinazzi. But we got a question here: HBM_F1. Have F1 cars outgrown Albert Park as a circuit? Generally quite dull races with minimal overtaking. Is the hype that surrounds the first race protecting it?
I think this is like, as I was having this conversation on Sunday, actually. I think this isn't just something that is surrounding Albert Park. I think there are a lot of tracks on the F1 calendar now where the cars are not built for the dimensions or the layouts of the tracks, because obviously a lot of these tracks are, decades old. I mean, this 2004, no, that was Bahrain 2004. when did Albert Park come first in?
96.
96, right?
You're looking at me. It's a damn fact that.
I was already thinking ahead to Bahrain. I got my facts mixed up. But yeah, so if you think 96, and I'm guessing have there been any kind of layout changes since 96?
No, I think it's been pretty much exactly the
So
same.
think of what F1 cars looked like in 96 and think about what they look like in 2019. They are not the same. So the debate I was having on Sunday was, is it time? Like, does F1 need to look at the tracks that it's currently got on the calendar and go, if we want good racing, then we need to change the dimensions of the cars to suit the tracks, or do the tracks need to change? Either by updating their current layout, which is tough for any circuit to do. It would take millions of pounds and probably having to miss out on a season or two to change the layouts. Do we remove tracks that are no longer suitable for the current F1 cars, or do we change the F1
Monaco.
cars? Well, this is the thing. And I know famously everyone thinks I'm a massive Monaco hater. I only hate it because it's not built for the cars and the racing that we're watching today. It's not that it's a bad track. You know, if you watch historical races of Monaco, it's freaking amazing. But nowadays, it's just not, because cars can't pass. They're massively restricted. It's just so, and I think Albert Park is starting to become victim to that, in that unless you have a struggling car or a safety car situation, or you're Max Verstappen, you can't really pass at all. And that makes for, and again, like, I'm not saying that every race needs to be overtake, but I think it stalls the races a lot to the point where you're like, well, okay, maybe someone can make an interesting strategy call, but to be honest, everyone knows, like, everyone's on a similar strategy. So, and we saw, like, Ferrari took a bit of a gamble by pitting Vettel earlier than a lot of teams maybe thought, or that Pirelli thought that the teams would be making pit stops, and that ended up being the wrong strategy. Giovinazzi tried to stay out. That wasn't the right strategy either. So it's kind of like, where do we go now with racing when the circuits that we've got are starting to now fail the racing, and because the cars are outgrowing them? Whose responsibility does that lay on?
I don't think you can blame the tracks at all.
No.
When you look at any other series on any other track, so take like the Hungaroring, for example, Formula 1 races, they're typically quite processional, and then it gets to the F2 and the race is bonkers.
Yeah.
You think of any other series around a certain track would be good. It's Formula 1 that's got too fast for the track sort of thing. But I think with Albert Park specifically, I don't mind it as a venue. I don't mind that it's typically not as an exciting a race as some other races. I think the problem is that it's the first race of the season and it's so different from every other track.
Yeah.
And the racing is so different that you've had all this hype of the winter and you kind of want to see what's what. And you get to this semi-street track, which doesn't necessarily give an idea of the order of the cars. Isn't a great race, and it's kind of like, oh well, that was disappointing, wasn't it? I mean, this year's race was quite good, but
I thought it was.
It's
right,
okay.
Yeah,
It's better. It's been better than previous years, but it's almost like, I agree with you. It's almost like an extension of testing.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Like, I don't think no one. I mean, everyone's trying to draw conclusions on social media and on websites, but we still cannot say what to expect from this season. And I felt the same way last year. It kind of takes you to get to like Bahrain, China, and you start to see the lay of the land. I mean, Baku's just bloody mental anyway, so you can't really get. But I like Albert Park. You just don't. I don't know. I still don't know really. I don't think it's right to draw conclusions based on that race.
No, as F1 fans, we always will. Like, that's just the way it isn't really. But for me, you know, watching, if we compare it to last year, I think this year, surprisingly, Ferrari looks so much slower than what we all expected. And, you know, what was it? Nearly a minute off the pace. Nearly they were in the end, or however far they finished back, because Vettel was falling back and whatnot. And then Bottas,
Vettel was 57 seconds.
Yeah, which
Magnussen was closer to Vettel than Vettel was to Verstappen.
Yeah,
which could lean towards the fact that they just couldn't set the car up properly, because that seemed to be a problem that they had in FP2 in particular. But you know, that's something that we can dive in a little bit when we go into my 3-word race review. But I think that it is. I like it mainly because it's been part of whenever I've watched Formula 1, it's mainly been Australia as the start, and I kind of like it as that.
Yeah.
The representation obviously is not great, but I think I was watching an interview with Grosjean, who was saying, in talking about the cars and being able to follow each other, and he was saying it was the tyres that was the issue. That he said that the 2019 regulations have actually really helped to follow cars, but he just says that, well, yeah, I can get close, but then I push too hard and then I overheat the tyres, then I have to fall away again. So I feel like it's many factors, and if they change one, then maybe that would improve racing around Albert Park, for example. If they made the tyres more durable, would that help? I don't know, but
there was another thing I was thinking about as well, which is like, I feel I don't know why this is, but I always feel like F1 introduces really random, like itty bitty rule changes that don't allow for kind of more meta changes to be seen as effective or not, because they'll change one thing and you'll be like, cool, right, let's see if DRS works, and then they'll bring in something else, like randomly, maybe halfway through a season, or for the start of one season, and you're like, well, hang on, wait a minute, we haven't seen if that works yet, or not only that, but tire compounds have changed year on year, so we don't know if that's a factor.
The thing,
So I'm almost like, I really hope that 2021 they just draw a line under it and go, right, this is F1 now. This is everything that has to change. These are the rules, and it's set, and that's it. And there's no, because that was the thing about fastest lap, which I actually think turned out to be a lot better than anybody thought it was going to be. And I'm sure we're going to get back into that in detail a little later on. But everyone was like, oh, it's really gimmicky. And I think it is gimmicky, but actually fundamentally what we saw is that it has the potential to completely change a race. Because if somebody decides, right, I'm going fastest lap now because I'm not going to get a podium finish, or I'm not going to, that's, as everyone was saying, it's almost the equivalent to an extra second place finish on top of the 21 races. So it can actually play a massively, I mean, I don't know how big of a role it's really going to play, but it was interesting to see for this race. But again, it's like another little thing that's coming in, and it's like, well, what effect is that going to have on the racing and the fundamental, in inverted commas, problems with F1? Should they just go back to the drawing board in 2021 and go, right, here's the fun... Oh my God, I'm literally getting so excited.
Jess has just sent the pop filter flying.
Should we go back to the drawing board of F1 and go, right, what makes for great racing? How do we make it fairer? How do we bring teams closer together? And the one thing you're never going to change is Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull will always have more money than the rest of them. Regardless of if you change the prize pot or whatever, they're always going to have more money to throw at it because they've got big backing. But, there are certain fundamentals of racing that can be changed, regulations and cars and stuff like that, that I'm just really hoping that 2021 brings that around.
And that mix up that I think we all kind of need
exactly.
as fans. So just finally after looking at Australia, iFlaming Zombie comes in with, should we fear the beard for the rest of the season? Gets us on to kind of talking about drivers and teams, and mine and Jess's differing opinion. Although it was then the same at some points during last season when I couldn't really back him up anymore.
Basically, Matty, you just 180 whenever it feels like it. And one day you think Bottas doesn't deserve a seat, and the next you're calling him 2019 World Driver Champion.
I think that, that was a bit of banter. But
no, I know,
I think,
I'm only kidding.
No, I know. I think in terms of what you say in terms of 180ing, I think that's the whole sort of premise of the sport in some respects, is that drivers can hit peaks of form quite, they can go from hero to zero very quickly. And Bottas did very much, in my eyes, at the start of last season. I was like, geez, okay, he's turned up and he hasn't got the luck he deserved, but he was really performing quite well. And then he kind of just tailed off and was a broken man by the end. Whereas, again, this year, he's turned up to Australia, and I know that Hamilton had damage, but he smashed him.
He well and truly won that race. Yeah. He won that race completely fair and square, but I don't get the hype. I don't get why. I mean, I get it because it's a nice story. He had such a shit season last year. He really wasn't anywhere. Everyone was questioning him. Everyone was like, including you, Matty, he'll be out by Monza and Ocon's going to be waiting in the wings and ready to swoop. He's come into Australia and he's got a beard and he's swearing, and he's like literally like, who the hell are you? Are you Bottas?
He's a rebel now.
Are you his like secret twin, or like where is Bottas? Or he must have done some real soul searching over the winter, and he's come back and he's ready to rock. About bloody time. That I think that's why I'm like, for me, I'll only get excited about it when he wins another race.
Yeah.
Or when he's like massively competitive in Bahrain and China, and then I'll believe the hype.
Yeah.
But right now I'm like, that was your best race ever, really?
It probably was. Yeah.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I know what you mean.
and I know people are going to get like upset about what I'm saying, but he has all the tools at his disposal to be world champion. Mm-hmm. So step it up and do it.
Yeah.
And then I'll be on board the Bottas train of like,
I understand what you're saying.
hailing
It's
him.
a one-off at the moment, isn't it, Dan? It's a one-off performance which needs to turn around into something a bit more meaningful halfway through the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive how he's gone from Abu Dhabi last season, broken man, to first race of the season, smashed it, like in a relative, well, it's not a short space of time because winter's testing is bloody ages when you're an F1 fan.
Yeah.
But I think, it's impressive that he's done that. But then again, like you say, look at the start of last year, he was outperforming Hamilton at certain races. Luck meant he didn't win as many races as he should have done. But he's shown in the past and in 2017 as well that he has got the ability to beat Hamilton on pure pace.
Yeah.
But I remain to be convinced that he can do it across a whole season. He may well thrash Hamilton in 5 or 6 races this year, but in the others, if on his bad days he can still be finishing second and third rather than fifth and sixth, that'll be the test.
Especially in this season where we don't really know like where they're placed at the moment. It looks like Red Bull could, because I mean they were nowhere really in the last few years at Albert Park, as far as my mind sort of serves me. Is that right, Danny?
Yeah,
compared to this year.
Yeah, I mean even in their dominant years, they sort of the first race or two of the season they tended to get off to a slightly slower start and then ramped it up as the season went on. But yeah, this year, that was my 3-word race review, was not bad, Honda.
Yeah,
because it's really impressive how first race of a new partnership, Verstappen's come in. I mean, Gasly had a bad weekend, but Verstappen has showed that the car is competitive from the off. He was chasing down Hamilton for second and way ahead of Ferrari.
Yeah, beating Ferrari comprehensively.
Yeah. I mean, split them on the grid as well. So, the Honda, that was always their Achilles heel last year, was in qualifying. Even if the car was good in the race, they just couldn't get high enough up the grid. But this year, it looks like they might be able to.
It's exciting. I am looking forward to it. Speaking of Ferrari, my 3-word race review, we'll get onto yours, Dan, afterwards.
Sorry,
no, it's fine. It's fine. My 3-word race review is Ferrari, you awake. Obviously a bit of a pun on the old Australian GP being so early. So we had a few questions come in. Tame Dog said, what the hell happened to Ferrari? We've kind of mentioned that FP2, like they were looking particularly great. Charles was spinning, and they just kind of fell off the wagon from FP1 where they looked okay, and it was quite close, wasn't it, at the front?
Yeah.
And then they kind of just tailed off, and Vettel was saying it's like driving a different car or something along those lines, or he was really struggling, and they just. How can you go from testing, but then again, they've been fastest in testing for the last how many years? I don't
4
know.
years, yeah.
And then every year they've kind of rocked up and not been as quick as it looks. So, Dan, I'm interested to know what you think happened to Ferrari this week. This weekend just gone.
Well, they're saying it's setup issues and that they just went down a rabbit hole with the wrong setup and they didn't have time to backtrack it. But one thing that I'm quite interested about is last year they were also quite bad on Friday sometimes, but then would turn it around for the Saturday. And a lot of that was credited to the work of their simulator drivers, Giovinazzi and Kvyat. But now they're both on the grid and they're not at Ferrari anymore. So they used to spend Friday night like on the sim and testing out things. They've got Wehrlein and Hartley this year. Is that the change that's made the difference, that they can't turn it around?
That's really interesting. Because and they're not even around to help set up the car because they're busy doing their own setups.
They're both in F1, which is quite good.
Yeah, I wonder if Ferrari's going to go down to Alfa Romeo and be like, can we
just borrow
Giovinazzi?
Just for a second.
That's really interesting because Kimi's meant to be very good at setups
as
well, and he's not there anymore either. So I don't know what Charles
Well, he's still getting used to Formula One
exactly
in many aspects,
that.
isn't he?
So maybe you've cracked it, Dan. Maybe that's
the code has been cracked by Dan Thorne. Wow, on your
I
first
very much
podcast,
doubt
you have unravelled the secrets of F1. Amazing. Another question about Ferrari is, which is an interesting debate as well. JNair11, do you think Leclerc should have gone for the overtake and made Ferrari tell him to back off instead of asking permission?
No.
I think he played it right. It just sounded weird watching it.
Yeah.
If
Oh
you see
yeah.
what I mean,
Yeah.
like ask, can I please go near Vettel, please? No, oh, okay, I'll just go back now. You know, he proved himself in many respects because he had a tale of two halves in that race where he was messing up, going across the grass at turn 1, falling quite far behind, and then he had great pace. But I guess it was a better strategy for him because he was on fresher tires, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think for Charles Leclerc, I mean, I don't want to say anything that sounds silly, but he obviously wants to win. He wants to do well, but I don't think it's necessary for him to push hard for that straight away. You know, he could spend a year or two at Ferrari with Vettel, and as long as he proves he's got the pace, then when Vettel goes, he's in prime position to lead Ferrari's charge. So he can almost afford to play a bit of a waiting game. I don't think there's any need for him to rock the boat in terms of defying team orders or risking collisions or anything like that, because that won't work out for him in the end.
Yeah, it's his first race for Ferrari, you know, the dream team for him as a kid. And I think, you know, even though, you know, he's labelled as the number 2 and, you know, he's going to have to help Vettel at times this season, if he's out-qualified him and beating Vettel on pure pace, they're not going to be able to say, Charles, slow down.
No.
So I guess that's maybe what he's thinking is the long run. And he doesn't really
It's
want to
first race of the season, right? He's got 20 other races to prove that he's faster than Vettel if that's what he wants to do, or that he can beat him on track. So I agree. I don't know if that is his mentality. I think he's clearly a very level-headed racer.
Yeah.
And you know, he's always been very good at going through things logically. Like, I thought his comments about, of course, there's a number 1 and number 2 driver at a team. It's just your responsibility to prove that you're the number 1. I thought that was a very mature way of looking at it, rather than going, well, no, obviously I'm number 1, and or like, or even just bowing down. What he's saying is, I'll go out and prove it on track, and Vettel's got to prove it on track just as much as I have. So, yeah, I think it's an exciting partnership still. Like, I'm still super excited to see them really stretch their legs, hopefully, if they can get the setup right for Bahrain. But Bahrain, typically, they've done okay at.
Yeah.
Like, Vettel won the last 2 years. We were looking up just before, haven't we? So the last 2 years, I mean, again, we'll get into predictions later on. But I think, I don't... The thing is, though, is we always criticise drivers for not just going for it. But I think there are different scenarios whereby I think that in that position was probably the right call.
Yeah, it's understanding the situation he's in. You know, he's young. He's like, I still can't believe he's in his second year of Formula One. He's driving for Ferrari. So
I mean, it was for 4th place as well. I mean, he's not going to risk it all on a move
for 2
going
points.
for 2 extra points. And also, Ferrari had a terrible weekend. If he'd have spooned his teammate off into turn 3 or something, it would have looked atrocious.
Nearly did at turn 1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That replay, I don't know if you, there was another replay that came out where his front wing literally clipped the left rear of Vettel's car. I didn't realise that when we first watched. I think the camera angles didn't really show that. I was like, that was close. But he actually touched. Like, how lucky was he to not give Vettel a puncture?
Yeah. It was
quite a frightening experience, I guess, for his first race in Ferrari.
Maybe that's why he was asking afterwards, because maybe they came over the radio and were like,
"Don't you dare!
Don't bloody dare!"
Another interesting thing about Ferrari, very quickly, is Mahel_999 comes in with, why the hell didn't Ferrari at least pit Leclerc so he could get the fastest lap point? Now, I kind of looked into that a little bit, and it seems as though he didn't have any fresh softs left from what I saw, and also the fact is Ferrari didn't really have that much pace. So and it would have put him kind of, if there'd been an issue in the pits, at risk of Magnussen as well. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, it would have been. I think they would have had enough time, but if there had been, a wheel nut sticking or something, it might have been a bit close.
And I guess it's kind of then taken into account Charles had made some mistakes in that race as well. Do we really want to push, a driver in a debut race for their team to really go for one extra point?
But then I guess that's where that fastest lap challenge has really kind of switched it up a little bit. Even if that didn't happen, the fact that people were thinking about doing it kind of gives you the idea of what might happen in a future race. But yeah, I think you're right. It's always going to come down to, are we going to risk track position for 1 point? And I think if you're maybe lower down in the top 10,
sure,
and you have the gap, why not? You've got nothing to lose. But if you are, I think P5, P4, you're kind of at risk of risking more.
Yeah.
Than it's worth. So, and also if it looked like Bottas could just like whammy out another.
He dropped to 25.5, didn't he? Which was like quite a lot faster than the previous fastest lap, and just out of nowhere. He's on really old tyres as well, and it just kind of showed again that the scary pace of Mercedes around Melbourne.
The thing I found really interesting though at the end of the race was everyone seemed really chill. Did you notice that? Like,
who, the drivers or
all the drivers? I mean, obviously Bottas was on cloud 9.
Yeah.
But like Lewis was just like, yeah, cool, yeah, I don't know, great. Like had a bit of damage
like 60
or
laps
whatever.
to kind of be like, yeah, I've lost this race now.
Yeah.
I've lost it in turn 1. What am I going to say to the media?
Well, yeah, they said by lap 4 he knew he couldn't challenge for the win. Lap 4, like that's really early on in a race where you're like, okay, I'm just cruising now. I've just got to get the car home. Like that must be like pretty rubbish.
Yeah, I think at this stage of the season, I don't think Hamilton really sees Bottas as a threat either. So
yeah, I was also wondering if maybe it was just kind of like let him have his moment. That's fine, but I'll ruin the party for you in Abu Dhabi, or like by Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So, but even like the Ferraris just seemed like they were just like, yeah, just no pace. Like, but nobody was like visibly upset or frustrated, or it was just kind of like, yeah. That was kind of the whole feeling I had around Australia was,
Yeah.
like, it happened.
Just as one noise review.
My one noise review. It kind of just happened, and I wonder if that's also why people are just hyping up the whole Bottas thing more, because there's almost less to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think the only person pent up was Daniel Ricciardo, kind of.
And that was more disappointment.
Yeah, disappointment, and then telling a journalist to F off. That was
Jenny Gao, because she was on the radio.
It was like,
that was quite funny.
There was an interesting debate about whether if that had been someone else, how that would have been received. But, that's just Danny Ricciardo and the way he goes about things, right?
Yeah.
So, Dan, your 3-word race review. I
Finally.
rudely stopped you because it didn't work in my schedule. Carry on.
It was not bad, Honda.
Wow, you really had a good thought. You do editing for our WTF1 website, and not bad is your words.
Yeah.
But it fits the 3 words
It fits
at
the
least.
bill. It fits the bill. Why did you put not bad, Honda?
Well, I was just impressed with the whole weekend for Red Bull. There was no glitches, no hiccups. It was just they kind of delivered on their promise that they would be better in qualifying. Gasly aside, I mean, he was unlucky. He was only a 10th off.
They just cocked it up,
Verstappen,
didn't they, really?
And that was out in Q1 and just ruined his whole weekend. But yeah, I think it's encouraging that Red Bull have a package that's now looks competitive across a whole weekend, rather than just at certain tracks with certain tyres and in the race rather than qualifying.
Yeah,
but
it was a really impressive. You were saying they, and I was like, yeah, one driver did rather well, the other one not so great. There's a question from Mystery Chi. Do you think Red Bull could really be fast enough to fight for the second place or even for first? Again, this is huge speculation. I don't think they'll be able to challenge for the title. I think that it will be one of those years where they will be quick at Austria, and and maybe some other kind of medium power track. I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but where Red Bull would usually struggle with power because of their engine, but they've got a bit more power now. So
yeah.
I can't think of where did they come close to winning last year? I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Well, they were quite quick at Silverstone last year, but then had some issues.
So maybe that's the kind of track where you still need quite a bit of power, but that sort of downforce in the middle sector is where they'd really come to shine.
Yeah.
We've got ex pizza time. Kvyat? It's Kvyat. I used to call him Kvyat, and apparently I can't remember. People basically there's a lot of F1 people are angry at that. So Kvyat be promoted to Red Bull in exchange with Gasly.
Oh God, here we go.
First race of the season, and
I mean,
they
he had
already
a
want
good
to switch
race.
it. Good. Was it good?
He had to fight for that point. In all fairness for
In a
him,
Red Bull.
Oh no, Kvyat.
Oh, sorry, Kvyat.
In a Toro
Yeah,
Rosso.
no. Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying like Gasly had a good race.
No. Sorry, Kvyat had a good race.
Sorry, Gasly finished 11th,
But
didn't he?
yeah, but
Balls.
I mean, Gasly's race was ruined in qualifying.
Yeah.
And for the exact same reason we were just saying before. But I also wonder if Max would have got further up the field.
That's what I was watching the race. I was thinking if that was Ricciardo still in that, he'd have sent it a few times.
Yeah.
And Gasly didn't
He's
really.
not quite there yet, is he?
No.
You saw it in his interviews, I think, in free practice. He was kind of saying, I'm getting used to the car.
Yeah.
I'm not really there yet. He did seem quite sheepish about, just...
He had a couple of crashes in testing as well, so I think
Yeah.
maybe that's weighing on his mind a little bit. Like he doesn't want to do it again, sort of thing.
Yeah, because he's got to the big time now. Red Bull is, I guess, where
His dream
was. So again, we can't really jump to conclusions. It's his first race in a big
Yeah,
team,
definitely.
And he's been quick in practice. He showed that he's got pace. He just needs to stop making mistakes. So we'll see if Bahrain brings that. Kimi JB 17. What do you think was more impressive? Norris qualifying P8 in his F1 debut with McLaren, Bottas' incredible race performance, or Verstappen actually finishing P3 with the Red Bull Honda?
It's got to be Lando.
It's definitely Lando, yeah.
Yeah, there's really no debate. Which brings us beautifully on to our fourth person's 3-word race review. There's only 3 of us, I know, but we had a race review come in on our Instagram from Lando Norris, so I thought I'd include it.
Oh, God.
Which he used "Stop Blocking Me" as his 3-word race review. It was nice of him to get
In reference
involved.
to the Giovinazzi train.
Yeah, Giovinazzi.
Giovinazzi, sorry.
Oh my God. I know.
God's sake.
It's going to be a running theme throughout the whole season
It
now.
is.
At Farnham Ref says, who will finish the best placed rookie of the season?
I mean-
Speculation. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Lando, but
I don't know. I'm almost tempted to go for Albon.
really?
Yeah.
See, I wasn't sure about Albon because, again, I feel like he had quite a shaky testing performance. Like, he span a lot. And again, like there was a couple of moments in the race where he just seemed a little bit unsure of the car underneath him. But again, like he had a decent race. I think the only way he might be beaten is if McLaren has its reliability problems,
Which we saw a bit of with Sainz. So why do you say Albon?
Well, I just think I know Norris and Russell are also rookies, but they're a lot more experienced. They've had years with F1 teams, working closely with F1 teams. They're part of junior programs, whereas Albon came almost out of nowhere. He used to be a Red Bull junior, but off the back of some amazing junior performances, he got called up to Toro Rosso.
He had quite a Cinderella story last season, didn't he, in F2? Because he didn't have a seat.
He didn't have a seat this time last year. Then he did a race by race deal and ended up doing the whole season and came close to winning the championship.
Exactly, yeah.
So you're saying in terms of the potential of him
in
coming
terms of
through,
potential, yeah.
you think that maybe he could be the best player?
Again, I guess it is that transfer over into F1, which is what these rookies are kind of facing. Even when you did your interview with George that came out on the channel a few days ago, that everybody says it's such a massive leap, and some people will just take to it, and other people will struggle a little bit. Considering how, the thing that got me all weekend was how nervous Lando was in every interview. He was like, I was getting more and more nervous every round and I didn't know what I was going to do. And then afterwards he was like saying that he'd let everybody down.
Yeah.
And I think the entire world was going, who have you let down?
Yeah.
That was incredible.
It's your first race.
So I guess, I think, again, it's a bit early to say, but I think the underlying point is we have a pretty awesome lineup of young talent.
It's the most exciting rookie lineup I can think of for years.
So,
and I can't remember the last time we had 3 F2 drivers come straight through to Formula One in the same season, right?
Yeah,
it has happened.
Like 2006 or 2008.
So it's been a while.
But it's been a little while.
I'm really intrigued to see how the rookies go from this kind of very nervous Australia appearance to how they will be in Abu Dhabi. You've got, like, when I watch Albon's interviews, he's just kind of there, like just looks like he's happy to be there.
Yeah.
He seems like a really nice guy. I'd love to meet him, but he's just kind of like, it's just the car was all right, and I hope we do better. And
I'm in F1.
This is I'm wearing an F1 shirt. Yeah, this is amazing, and it's cool to see. I really like to see like young sort of potentials coming through and being so happy and excited, and you've got Lando that just, bless him, just shaking in his boots. But he'll get used to it, and he's shown already. He qualified P8 in a McLaren, which we don't obviously know exactly where the McLaren is, but kind of low end of the points was it was a surprise. So well done, Lando, and I'm interested to see how the rookies do. Let's go on to a bit of deja vu that happened. We would have seen it in the Netflix documentary from 2018, and it happened again for Romain Grosjean in the Haas. Slightly more delayed this time.
I don't think it could have. I mean, Netflix are just on to an absolute winner, aren't they?
Yeah.
Having
I reckon there's someone down in the Haas garage just going, oh, just
what?
make sure
And especially because
chuck that tyre and that away.
the complete star of that documentary series is definitely Gunther Steiner.
He's an incredible human being.
An MF legend. I'm secretly in love with him.
I'm publicly in love with him.
But oh my God, what I'd give to know what he was saying on that pit wall after that wheel fell off. What? How? Why?
Because it didn't happen after Australia last year. That's the thing. Like, they had a completely flawless season in terms of wheels falling off their car, and yet they go back to Australia. It must be something in the air, or I don't know. It's honestly, I felt so sorry. And Grosjean coming over the radio and just going, I think the front left suspension's gone, and we're sat there like, come on,
nah.
No.
That wheel is wobbly. Okay, that's not front suspension, but it was very sad, wasn't it? It was sad to see, especially for my fantasy team, but mainly because of Ricciardo was the one that really destroyed my fantasy team this week. But I'd be interested to know everyone that's listening as well, if they're doing the fantasy team as well. Dan, you're doing the fantasy team, aren't you?
I'm going.
Well, I say you're doing the fantasy team. You've probably got about 60 million left, and you're trying to get the worst team possible. Is that right? Or
I wouldn't say the worst team possible, but I'm not going for the victory, if that makes sense.
But you have more points than me and Jess, I think.
Well, that says a lot about my ability to know about what's good and what's not.
The problem is I made a banter team. I literally called it banter team. Just clicked a few and went, oh, that's great. And that's got more points than my actual team. And I'm like, well, that just shows the unpredictable nature of Formula One, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to a new section where we are going to basically get our little report cards out for each of the drivers, kind of a quick fire thing. And I've named it very quickly A, B, C, D, E, F1. Because we're grading them. So
Jesus Christ, the amount of creativity in this room is blooming.
Name is to be confirmed. But yeah, A, B, C, D, E, F1. I can see it now. I can see like a really cringy title and everything. Right, cool. So let's go through Mercedes, and we're going to rate it from A star all the way down to F.
Okay.
And it goes A star, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Wait, I said all the way through to F, and I said to G. We'll finish at F. And you were saying that there's a US version where you don't have the E or something. Is that right?
I don't think it goes to E in America. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, it goes to E this time.
You definitely get an F though, don't you?
Yeah, it goes like A, B, C, D, F, I think.
As in that you can't get lower than a D. Anything lower than a D is a fail.
Yeah.
Fine. Let's do that because then it's easier.
Okay, so
anything lower than a D and
anything lower than
fail.
a D and you failed. Okay, and then we got A stars, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A
Agreed.
plus,
Let's do this. We've agreed. That's our first thing we're agreeing on.
Wait.
We have to all come to an agreement for our
Okay.
grades. There might be some sort of like, okay, all right, you have a B, whatever. Okay, Lewis Hamilton.
B.
B, yeah, I was going to say B.
yeah.
Okay, wow, God, well done, everyone.
God, good start.
Valtteri Bottas, A star.
A. Didn't get pole.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd go for an A or maybe a B plus. No, let's go for an A. Let's go for an A. Otherwise, I'll get lynched.
Just with the Bottas basher out. I love it. Sebastian Vettel, C.
No, I'm going to go with A.
What?
No, maybe B.
Yeah, settle yourself down. Jeez.
B.
It's just like it was. I think it's a passing grade. C.
Yeah, C. Satisfactory.
Satisfactory.
Charles.
He bought the car home, but he didn't do anything magic with it.
I'm sorry, 2-1, Dan. C. Charles Leclerc. I
I'm
think
out.
that there's 3 C's in his name. I'm going to give him a C as well.
Yeah.
No, if Vettel gets a C, then Leclerc gets lower because he didn't out-qualify him. He made mistakes in the race.
First race for Ferrari, Dan. There's
So
situational thinking
And
here.
he played the game. No, okay, maybe.
Yeah, he would have beaten
C.
Vettel.
I think I just had C's across the board.
Yeah, like D's harsh. Like he finished fifth.
Yeah, see,
He didn't
that's
bin
why
it
I
in the wall.
put Vettel as a B because he did nothing wrong. He did nothing
Hey, we're not
right.
going back to Vettel. Vettel was locked in with a C. It's done.
Who made you judge, jury, and
Me.
executioner?
How about this? Vettel gets a C plus.
Oh god, this is getting
I don't want to deal with pluses and minuses. Okay, I'll go with C just to avoid this debate.
amazing.
We've already lost all of our listeners.
Amazing. Max
With this
Verstappen,
segment.
A.
Yeah, I'll give him an A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
I'll give
Okay.
him an A. He was one of the only people to make a legit overtake.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're going to have to reserve our A stars for truly magical performance.
Like
Exactly.
Bottas,
Yeah.
Pierre Pierre Gasly, D.
C.
You're going to give Pierre Gasly a C when he got knocked out in Q1.
It
and
wasn't
didn't
That
his
wasn't his
score
fault.
points.
It
That was
wasn't
the
his fault
team.
that he got
That
knocked
was the
out in
team's
Q1.
strategy call that knocked him out in
Should have done a
Q1.
better lap.
Even Helmut Marko said the team needs to apologise for him, and when Helmut Marko is
So
defending,
explain the situation for people that don't know, because I don't know.
basically they tried to get through on one set of tyres. They both did 2 laps in a row, and Gasly ended up, I think it was a 10th and a half behind Max. But by the end of Q1, that meant Max was 10th, and because it was so close, Gasly was down in 17th.
Right, okay.
The
They
team
just
should
completely miscalled it.
they should have
yeah.
sent him out again. They didn't, and you can't really overtake round Albert
In the
Park.
first race of the season as well. That's such a
Yeah.
strange risk to take, isn't it? Okay, all right, fine. C. I'll allow a C then for Pierre Gasly. Daniel Ricciardo, Renault. Ooh,
Can you even rate him?
yes.
I mean,
D.
maybe people that got DNFs just don't count. Yeah.
DNF gets an F. Okay, you failed. Sorry, Daniel Ricciardo. No, his incident, we haven't really spoken about it.
No.
Like, he
A
dipped
fluke.
a wheel.
It was such a fluke. It was complete and utter fluke. Like, had that been any other circuit, he'd have probably gotten away
But
with
that's
it.
the thing. I think, isn't that what track walks are for? To look
Yeah.
and go, oh, there's a bit there, better avoid that.
Don't
I mean,
go on
true.
the grass here. Yeah.
But I think everybody was massively surprised at how catastrophically
Oh, yeah, definitely.
that bump ripped the entire front wing off. Like, could a track walk? Could you really know from a track walk?
I think you could.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I guess if you walk over it, you'd be like, okay, there's a dip here. Because I guess the grass goes and then it's the service road, then it comes back up again. But I mean, it's not something that you go, okay, so start the race, we're going to be over there. You're not really going to know that. But I guess he's hedged his bets and gone, right, I'll get on the grass and then it will turn into the pit exit and then he'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
well, I think he was just being squeezed by Perez.
Perez, yeah.
And was like, oh God, because you can see him kind of like
Yeah.
try and move more out the way, and then that's when he hits that bump.
I feel like he was, watching his onboard, I feel like he was a bit desperate
He
to
was.
make up some positions.
Yeah.
at
He
the
was
start.
definitely.
I don't know if maybe that in his head he's like, I've got Nico here who's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I want to put a mark on him straight away and get ahead of him into turn one.
And it's his
Yeah,
home
good
race.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure on him, and I think they came out and said, or Renault came out and said that there was a lot of pressure on him, or Danny Rick, I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
think they said by the end of the weekend he was just so exhausted.
Yeah.
He'd done so much with the media. He'd done so much to be out with the Australian fans and stuff. Like, I agree. I saw a tweet by Will Buxton that Renault and Daniel have to learn when to say no. And I agree.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. Like, Lewis Hamilton got absolutely crucified for not going to
F1
F1
Live,
Live.
yeah.
But he was saying, like, I have to prepare for my home Grand Prix. It's my home Grand Prix. And, how much it was like, what, a few days before?
Yeah.
I can't remember now. Was it on the
I
Wednesday
think it was
before
like
the
week
weekend?
before, yeah.
There was a decent gap, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And
It
maybe
wasn't the Thursday, was it?
exactly. But you do have to give these guys breathing space.
Yeah.
They've got a tough job to do.
Absolutely. So, okay, Danny Rick, DNF. We won't grade him. That's a bit harsh. Okay, Nico Hülkenberg. I think that's a solid A.
I'd give him an A, yeah.
Yeah, all right. I was gonna give him a B, but I'll go for an A.
7th place. I mean, Nico Hülkenberg was born, I think, in 7th place. Like,
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is just, but that's the thing for me. Like, he's just so vanilla.
he's not going to finish 6th, that's for sure. Like,
Just like,
he could have finished. How far was he behind Magnussen?
Did you
Like
see?
a couple of seconds, I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Did you
far.
see in the Netflix documentary the segment where he goes to the school in Austin and there
he
are
got
those
roasted
kids?
by those kids.
The kids were like,
haven't won
"So
yet."
how many races have you won?" And he's like,
0.
"None." And they're like, "What? Why are you famous then?" And I was just like, "Oh my god." Oh my god, the savagery! I cannot
I
cope.
can't believe they left that in as well. It was amazing.
But like, I don't know. He's in a mid. Like, what is he going to do in a Renault this season?
he
What
beats
is he
Ricciardo,
feasibly going to
he's
do
gonna
in a
go,
Renault?
like,
yeah, if he beats Ricciardo, he'll be the best man.
So yeah, all right. I'll just go with the majority.
Fine, I'll allow an A. Right, Haas, Romain Grosjean.
Oh
I
god,
don't-
He
he didn't-
DNF'd, but he
didn't do anything wrong. He was
No, he was
quali-
running
he out-
behind Magnussen. wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he out-qualified him, slipped behind him at the start. I'd go for a B.
B, but DNF, so we can't fully judge.
Yeah, B in brackets, but
B in brackets.
we're getting really
brackets.
technical now. Aren't
Kevin
we?
Magnussen, I think that's a solid A for him.
Yeah.
As well.
No, I'd go for B because he was out-qualified by Romain.
Okay, harsh, but he's got his elbows out against Nico Hülkenberg. defended well for once. You know, he didn't actually be really dirty.
That's true, actually. Yeah, I forgot.
He's a changed man.
Well, we'll see.
Okay, we're going to go with A because me and Jess said it. McLaren, Carlos Sainz blew up. Doesn't matter. Lando Norris. I mean, it does matter.
And he
but it doesn't matter
qualified
for the grade.
horribly.
Yeah, so it would have been an F, but it's fine. Lando Norris.
An A star.
Whoa.
I wouldn't go with A star. A.
No, yeah, I think A.
I'd say B as an overall race weekend performance. His qualifying was great.
He did slip
back.
That was strategy. You know, everyone in the midfield pitted, or someone in the midfield pitted. It creates a domino effect where everyone has to cover each other off.
Yeah.
Get stuck behind Giovinazzi in a damaged car.
Yeah.
And I thought the way he attacked him was sensible.
Yeah.
Like he didn't go for anything ridiculous.
It wasn't aggressive, was it? It wasn't hungry. It was definitely done in mind of, I don't want to crash out of my first ever Grand Prix.
It was probing, I would say.
Yeah.
Probing.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, and to avoid people saying that, you just absorbed in the hype of Lando, let's go for a B.
Just for the sake of that.
But qualifying, he gets an A star.
Qualifying was an A star. Really impressive. But yeah, I feel like because he wasn't particularly aggressive with his overtaking, that actually ruined his race.
He was safe.
Yeah.
If he hadn't got through, if he got through much earlier,
he did put the move on.
Yeah, eventually.
Giovinazzi.
Racing Point, Sergio Perez.
Did you hear David Coulthard kept calling Racing Point Force India?
Oh no!
On the Channel 4 commentary.
I think Crofty did at one point as well.
It's just Racing Point is not a natural thing
That's
to
weird.
say right now. So yeah, sorry, it was just a little side.
Yeah, that's fine. Racing Point
side
/ X Force India. Sergio Perez, D, I think.
No, he qualified in the top 10. He
finished 13th, didn't he?
Yeah, again, that was because of the strategy, though. He was one of the drivers that got caught out in it.
Yeah, but
C. I'll allow a C.
Yeah, okay.
I'll allow a C.
Yeah.
But then he got beaten by Lance Stroll.
Yeah,
but
Stroll had a
benefited
much better
from
race.
The strategy, though.
Do a better strategy, Dan. That's what I would say.
I'll tell Sergio that.
What would you give him then?
What, Perez?
Stroll qualified 16th and ended up 9th.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah, I would go with...
Perez qualified 10th and finished 13th.
Yeah.
I mean, on race results, it's not great. It's not looking great for Perez to have anything more than a C.
Yeah, that's one place behind Lando. He had the same race as Lando, basically.
Lando was a rookie. Is a rookie.
Perez has got 10 years under his belt.
This is the discussion. We gave Lando a B.
We're joking. I think I don't think they did necessarily anything wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't outstanding. It wasn't.
It's a C. It's a
atrocious.
mediocre then. I'll allow mediocre. Lance Stroll, I think, was an A. I think he
No,
performed very
B.
well.
No, I after dismissing the plus and minus thing, I would go back to it and give him a C plus.
Oh, so when it suits you, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it suits you, fine.
Yeah.
He started 16th.
I'll give him a B because he did make an awesome start, which is something he's making a bit of a trademark.
He's got such a lot to prove as well.
Yeah.
He's got such a lot to prove that he's not just a pay driver, and he definitely couldn't do that from a Williams. So, more power to him. Like, come on, boy, bring it.
Impressive.
I'll
weekend.
allow a B then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Are you making marks of all these?
No, we'll go back and write it down. Alfa Romeo, Kimi Raikkonen was
was
kind
he
of a bit
even
of a
there?
ghost,
He
wasn't
was
he?
invisible,
He was
wasn't
a
he?
ghost. I don't remember seeing him once.
He qualified 9th and finished 8th.
It's just a C, really. Isn't it?
It's just you were there.
B, C.
I'd say C just because he turned up.
Yeah, I didn't see him once, so I couldn't really judge his performance. We'll go with a flatline C. Antonio Giovinazzi. Now, interesting. I don't think he had a very good race, but his defence made it seem like he was having...
His defending was...
He did.
pretty
But
good.
again, you're defending on a track where it's impossible to overtake anyway, so I think maybe your defending looks more impressive than it actually
But
is.
he had a damaged car. Apparently, they were considering retiring it or something like that. So,
Difficult
fair
to judge
play.
then. So C.
We're just giving everyone C's.
Yeah. If it's difficult to judge, we don't know the
C's
full
across
story.
the board.
C. Okay, Daniel Kvyat.
I'd give him a solid B.
yeah, definite B.
Give him a B.
Got out qualified by Albon, but great in the race. You know,
B.
held off Gasly.
Alex
Good
Albon.
stuff. C.
C.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
he had his highlights, but he had errors.
I remember his interview just being like, I was nearly in the top 10, and then it went worse, it just went downhill from there or something.
Bless him.
He's so honest, bless him. And finally, Williams. George Russell,
To be honest, I think he did a really good job. The whole
from
week.
what we saw.
Yeah, I mean,
He went round and finished the race.
I think he got the most out of
16.
that he could have done. He didn't make any mistakes. He had a good attitude the whole weekend. So yeah, maybe a B.
B. We're even giving points for attitude now. Good attitude all weekend. B. Are you happy with that, Jess?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And Robert Kubica.
Oh,
D.
God.
Huh?
D.
A D.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually see the replay of him getting caught up with everything. What exactly happened there in turn
Yeah, his
1 and
front
2?
wing got ripped
I think
off.
I think he said it was Gasly,
Right.
which broke his wing, and then his mirror fell off in the race. In qualifying, he hit the wall because his car had too much grip. And
That was the most amazing story I've ever heard.
and he came out of the pits for his final run, and the car felt totally different to anything else. And when he got to turn 9, he had so much grip that he went too fast through the corner and hit the wall.
Oh my God. I love
He almost hit the wall in the pit lane at one point, and in practice he damaged his car a little bit and then couldn't go very well because the team didn't have enough spares.
to be fair.
He had a clumsy weekend. I think you can't really judge him because he's made a lot of small errors, but I don't think that's necessarily his fault. It's him trying to wrestle a pig of a Williams around the track.
Yeah. The fact that the mirror fell off as well just links in beautifully with the tweet from IBR, which was the Drive to Survive season 2, where the guy has photoshopped the Williams logo over Homer Simpson trying to build the barbecue. If you haven't seen it, go and check out Internet's Best Reactions on our YouTube. It is amazing.
I feel like you almost can't grade the Williams drivers. Like,
it's going to be so tough to judge them this season.
It is just like, if it wasn't bad before, Jesus Christ.
Do you see that they've got slower since 2017? Like 2017, it's like a 10th or something. But
yeah,
it's
no
almost
improvements.
you know when you just can't look anymore because you're just like I can't deal with the
just sad.
sadness.
it's like what's
is
going to
sad.
happen next? Like what?
Like if they don't improve, surely they're just going to leave the sport. Like I can't see any other way around it.
Or they'll get
like,
bought out, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, because there's so many. Well, F1 are great at the rumor mill, but there are apparently so many brands and teams that potentially want to come in. If they've got something ready made at Williams, why wouldn't they buy them out?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it kills me as well because it's like, well, is it time for Claire to just step aside?
In the Netflix documentary, she's doubted herself, saying, am I good enough for this and whatnot.
But I also don't think nobody
There's
really
no quick
knows
fix.
what's going on.
Changing one personnel for another is not going to do anything.
No.
It seems like it's
But the whole departure of Paddy Lowe is very strange. I mean, nothing else has really come out after that. But yeah, I mean, how can you remove such an intrinsic part of the team at the start of the season? Like, how is that going to play into their hands? Like, they're now having to replace that role with someone brand new. Like, when everybody else is like just focusing on the rest of the season, not getting started again. Like, it's just been like just crazy story after crazy story after crazy story, and then everything like the wing mirror falling off. Like, I just
basic parts of the car, isn't it? You expect to stay on.
You could not write it.
They just needed stability going into this season, and,
Exactly.
and it's been the complete opposite. So let's dive into predictions for Bahrain then, shall we? Let's go with mine first. Bottas redeems himself with a lunge for turn 1 for the lead. I feel like he will redemption for Bottas, and he'll win Bahrain. Or at least he'll take the lead at some point during Bahrain. And the second one is Hamilton will DNF. Don't know what. Maybe turn 1. Maybe a mechanical issue. Don't know. But
Okay.
just sense it on the horizon. I feel like Hamilton's going to have a terrible start to the season.
I mean, like every season ever.
yeah.
True, actually, yeah. So, but even worse.
We all know he doesn't turn up until
like midway through.
midway
I'm
through.
40 points behind. Let's win everything. Jess, your two.
I think Daniel's going to finish ahead of Nico.
Am I?
Yes, Dan.
Awesome.
You, Dan. No, Ricardo
Good
will
work,
finish.
Dan.
Ricardo will finish the race ahead of Hulkenberg.
Okay, all right. And the other one?
Charles will get fastest lap,
Oh.
which I think is a bit risky because it's current Ferrari, but why not?
You never know. They might be the fastest car.
Make up for Australia.
Yeah, maybe they're like, Charles, you can go for it this time.
You go for it, boy.
We believe in you. Dan, your two. Do you remember, or do I need to tell you?
No, I can remember.
good lad.
Because he has it in front of him.
Yeah, I do.
I can remember. Reed's phone.
I've got one of the Williams will beat another car. Whether
Any
it's
car.
Any car. Medical car, safety car. No.
Does that count for anybody that DNFs? Because technically
No.
they did that
No,
in
but-
A
Australia.
running car.
No, I mean a running car, even if it means that they've broken their wing and gone in the pits for 10 laps and come out again, I think a Williams will finish ahead of another car.
So a Williams will finish 18th.
unless there's DNFs.
Unless there's DNFs.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Fine,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And my other one is Grosjean on the podium.
Jeez.
Why? What? I'm intrigued to know why on earth you've just said that.
I'm saying that because last year, Gasly finished 4th in a Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
This year, Haas is really close, or closer than last year to the top 3. I think Grosjean's got the pace over Magnussen. And if there's a little bit of craziness up the front, I see no reason why Grosjean couldn't sneak a podium.
And Hulkenberg will finish 4th and not get another podium.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, Hulkenberg will finish 5th. And Ricciardo will finish 4th.
There you go. Nice. The 3 fan predictions. We have Felipe Omito. Leclerc grows a beard, wins, and curses on the radio.
That just doesn't suit his image, does it, at all?
It'd be amazing if he turned up with one, though, isn't it?
And what if he got like
a fake
tattoos
one.
too, as well? Like just to go
Swearing at the
full.
cameras and everything.
So the person I feel sorry for with this whole beard business is Nick Heidfeld. He rocked a beard for years and never won a race. Bottas grows one, wins first time out. It's just not fair on him.
Also, Vettel's moustache. Can we just talk about that for a second?
I love that he's grown a moustache, but he can't grow a moustache.
Well, he can't, like, it's there. It's definitely
It's
there.
just a bit creepy.
It's just
It's not
like,
Mansell-esque, is it?
I just don't feel like he has the right. I don't know. He looks in the mirror
who has
and goes,
the right face for a moustache?
Oh, a moustache can look good.
for some people, but I feel like just him with facial hair or hair just doesn't seem like the
So you'd rather he
aerodynamic
be
thing that he
completely
had.
bald?
No,
Yes, just
I
so he
think
stops
when
making
he had-
mistakes.
When he had a beard, beard was fine, but the mustache is just strange.
What's worse, the moustache or him doing that aerodynamic thing in last? Was it
I
last
think
year?
the mustache.
No hair.
I think
worse.
the bowl thing was weird.
I think,
Yeah.
but I mean, hair is hair, right? But it's his face.
Yes, hair is hair.
I like a moustache. It's whimsical. He's got a sense of humour.
He's not old enough to rock one yet, I don't think.
Oh, there's no age limit.
And we're going to carry on with our final fan prediction. Actually, we've got two more. Sacred Silence says Kimi will get on a camel after being parked in the sand.
Wow.
Do they have camels that close to the track? I know they're in the middle of a desert.
Maybe we'll just go
but
with Kimi will get on a camel and it could be included in promotion or anything like that.
if they manage to get Kimi on a camel,
They have done very well.
yes.
And finally, Baralier says Ricciardo keeps his wing, Grosjean keeps his wheels, and Kvyat will keep his seat.
Well, yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
three
That's
in
kind
one.
of a given. Well, I hope it's a given.
Well, let's hope Ricciardo keeps his wing. I'm just trying to get points here for our predictions, all right? Like, we're a team here. Okay, cool. So those are the 9 predictions, and we are done for the Australian Grand Prix.
All right.
How
Nice.
exciting is this?
We're
Dan,
back.
How has it been? How's it been being part of this?
It's been nice that you finally let me into your little clique.
Only because Tommy's on holiday. I'm joking. I'm kidding. You're going to be part of a lot of this season coming up.
Because Tom's on
And,
holiday.
because someone will be on holiday
He's back
or
in like
working.
September, isn't he? Something like that.
Something. It feels like that.
I think at one point it'll be a one-man show with you, Dan, to be honest. So
I feel sorry for everyone if that's
actually,
the case.
I would listen to an hour of you just talking to yourself about Formula 1.
I wouldn't listen to an hour of myself.
You've got a good voice for it, though. Like, you could definitely
Yeah.
rock it.
You've
No.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought, I was going to be not nice to you when you were said to me that you weren't going to be on the podcast and you had me on for about half an hour yesterday. You were like, I'm not going to be on the podcast. I was like, why? Please come on. And you're here, which made me very happy. Right, so that is it. We are going on Audio Boom, Spotify, iTunes,
Apple Podcasts,
which is that
Google
iTunes-ish?
Podcasts.
Google Podcasts. Basically, just rate
Any
us on
good-
every single
yeah.
platform / the one you're on at least, and just say that we're amazing and that 5 stars.
And make sure you subscribe so you never miss another one.
Yep, never miss another one of this. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we'll
Coming
see
in your
you
ears.
in Bahrain. Or we won't. You'll hear us from in Bahrain. Cool. Right, goodbye, everyone.
You'll be at Bahrain. Oh, sounds. Is that secret?
Exclusive. Yeah, I'm still waiting for flight details. Anyway, cool. Thank you so much for
We'll
watching.
cut that bit out the end.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching.
Watching?
Listening. God, I'm so not used to a camera
Watch
not
with
being in
your
this room.
ears.
Why are we still talking? Right, goodbye, everyone.